Hey guys, today's video is going to be more on the serious side. It's going to be about the time I had to go to the ER during my pregnancy, which is obviously always really scary. So I'm just going to dive right in. At the time, I was experiencing menstrual cramping and bad chronic back pain. It wasn't sciatica pain, which is what I have now, which is perfectly normal during the second and third trimester, just because your belly is, weighing a lot and he could be laying on nerves and so on and so forth. Anyway, I was just having really bad chronic back pain, more of just like an achiness. So I talked to my OB about it, and she said that it was perfectly normal, nothing to be alarmed about. So one morning, I woke up and I went to out to the living room, and this was probably about 7 o'clock in the morning. It was pretty early. I went out and started one of my shows, and then I went inside the kitchen, while the commercials were going through, and I went to the kitchen to make breakfast, and I felt a little bit of a trickle of discharge come out, which is perfectly normal during pregnancy, TMI, but you get a lot of discharge. I wanted to go wipe it up because it was just sitting there in my underwear, and that could be really uncomfortable. So I went to the bathroom and I wiped it up, and I looked at it, and just because while you're pregnant, you are supposed to, look at your pee, look at your discharge, just, for any alarming things. And on the toilet paper was pink-ish discharge, more on the bloody side. And that obviously scared the crap out of me. So I've read on forum posts that this can be normal during pregnancy. So I was trying to calm myself down with that. Also, don't take my word on that just because they are forum posts. But I was trying to calm down, but I thought it was best to call my OB just to double check. So I called her, and she had asked if I had sex the day before, day prior, basically within a week. And I had not. So, I told her no. And she also went down a list of other signs. She's like, "Are you having back pain?" Which was a yes. She also asked if I was having menstrual-like cramping, which was also a yes. So with that, she told me to go straight to the ER, which scared the living daylights out of me, just because every kind of worry that I've had whenever I've had to call my OB, everything has been, nope, you're fine, take it easy, you're good. So I kind of was just expecting that of, yeah, this is perfectly normal, it's fine. And so being told to go to the ER really stressed me out of what, so I ran into my bedroom, and I woke up my boyfriend who was sleeping, and I told him to start getting ready, that we have to go to the ER, and I told him everything that happened, and I started getting ready. And by getting ready, I do not mean I'm sitting there putting on makeup. I was just brushed my teeth, threw on a bra, and put my hair up. So I also went, obviously, and told my mom what was going on. Well, I tried to tell my mom. So I started knocking on the door because she has her door locked, and turns out she wasn't home. So that was very scary. So I called her, and she wasn't answering. And so it turns out that she had an early doctor's appointment with my grandma. So they both were not home, and the car was gone, and I didn't want to call an ambulance just because obviously those are expensive, but if it had to get to that point, I was going to call the ambulance. So I was psycho calling my mom, and she was not answering. And so I was like, oh my God, the OB told me to get there quick. I need to go. So I started psycho calling my grandma, and she also was not answering. And this is really weird of them because, just because I am pregnant, they always, answer, well, even when I wasn't pregnant, they've always answered just in case of emergency. Like, my family is very good about that. So I was almost scared of like what happened to them. So I kept psycho calling, and finally I got an answer from my grandma. And I told her, hey, I'm bleeding right now and I need to go to the ER. Where is my mom? And my mom had dropped her off over at the grocery store. So they weren't even together. She didn't even have the car. And so she told me, I am not with your mom. You're like, I will try to psycho call her as well. So now me and my grandma are both psycho calling my mom. So finally my mom answers, to her, just because my grandma ended up getting through the line first, and my grandma told her, so then of course my mom called me, and she's like, what's going on? Like, she told me that you need to go to the ER, and my grandma can be a little bit of an over exaggerator, so my mom wasn't sure if my grandma was, taking this story to the extremes or what. So she had called me, and so I told her, no, like, this is serious. My OB said I need to go to the ER right now. So of course my mom came jamming home, and me and my boyfriend were just waiting outside like, hey, come on. So we run into the car and we go to the ER. I have been to the ER before, pre-pregnancy, and I've never been rushed in like this, and I guess it was because I'm pregnant, and, obviously when you're pregnant, you are higher priority, so, I've just never been rushed in to the ER like this. Like, right when I got in, I got a room, and there was no, like, waiting in the lobby or anything, which was, it scared me, because I was just like, oh my God, this is like a really serious situation. Like, it still was just setting in to me. So from there, a whole bunch of nurses came in, and they're strapping like, things to monitor my belly. They are trying to find the heartbeat. They're trying to do all of this, which scared me even more. So like, the situation just kept getting more real and more real. And, I looked over at my boyfriend, and he's shaking crazily. And, my mom is just like, oh my God. And so that was not comforting to see. They better not do that during labor. Anyway, so yeah. At this point, they were trying to find the heartbeat, which took about 5 minutes. And I kid you not, it was 5 minutes. And we've never had issues trying to find Grayson's heartbeat, but I guess it was just the position that he was in, because they obviously did end up finding it, but it was really scary to the point of where I started crying, like tears were just going, like, rolling down my face, like, what do you mean you can't find his heartbeat? And they're like, we're gonna try again in a minute, and that's not, like, please don't tell me that, like, what? So, they tried again, and thankfully she found his heartbeat, and it was strong and healthy, and it was good. So she said that we are just going to monitor your belly to see what is going on. The doctor will be here shortly. He is in a C-section right now. So yeah, I was sitting there in labor and delivery, waiting for the doctor to come in, and the nurse comes in probably about like 10 minutes after to check up on me, and starts reading my report that is that the belly monitor is sending. So she kind of gets a little distraught in her face, and she asks if I can feel that. And at this time, I was feeling like rolling sensations inside my stomach. So I said, yes, he's just rolling around in there. And she said, no, that is a contraction. That is not your baby. And so that was really scary. She then ran out and tried to find another doctor, like, in the hospital, and, I could hear her out there talking to other nurses, like, she's contracting right now, she's only 23 weeks, like, this should not be happening. So just everything just kept, I feel like, getting worse and worse, where I just kept getting more and more scared. So, she comes back in, she keeps on reading my report, trying to see if the contractions are, regular. They were irregular, and that is what kind of settled it down a bit, but it was still weird because I was only 23 weeks. So, probably about we were at the hospital for about 5 hours total, maybe about like 4 hours, and we were still waiting for the doctor. So obviously C-sections don't take that long. I'm not sure, obviously, the status of what was going on, but finally he came in, and when he came in, it was kind of like, hi, nice to meet you, spread open my legs, and just stuck his hand inside my vagina. And he was going to check for my mucus, if it was still bloody. He needed to check if I was dilating, and if my cervix was soft, and all of that good stuff. So he couldn't put lube on the glove or anything, just because that would kind of mix in with my mucus. So and there was an audience back there and everything, because there were a couple interns there, so I was just like, nice to meet you guys. And my boyfriend is just sitting there watching me basically get raped. Obviously, thank God he was a really cool doctor, don't get me wrong. I just prefer to have women OBGYNs, just because I feel like they know how vaginas are, and that you need to go a little bit more carefully, because that shit hurt like a mofo. So, so bad that I was squeezing onto my boyfriend's hand over here and squeezing onto the nurse's hand over here. She's like, it's okay, it's okay. They're both trying to calm me down, and I'm just like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. So he checked my mucus, and it wasn't bloody anymore. Thank God. And so he, checked my cervix, he checked if I was dilating, all that stuff, and I was not. So there was nothing to be necessarily concerned about. These were, it still was abnormal that I was contracting at this time, but the contractions were not strong enough to stop, and also because they were not regular. So it wasn't like I needed any medication for them to stop. It was kind of more so, if you have more than 4, you need to come back in, and or if you are bleeding. So again, so I basically was just told to take it easy, and that was the final verdict. So thankfully everything was okay. I ended up going home. I'm 28 weeks now and still carrying him. So it's been a while, and everything has been good. He's healthy. I am still contracting. Obviously now it's Braxton Hicks. But yeah, I still continued to contract from 23 weeks to 28 weeks. They just never were regular, or never necessarily enough to go back in. So I've had a few somewhat scares where I had to call my OB of I just contracted 7 times in an hour or whatever, and they're like, nope, you're fine as long as it's not regular, and all of that good jazz. So everything has been good. I do have a doctor's appointment coming up in a few days, so that is exciting, just to basically get even more assurance that my baby is okay and healthy. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and subscribe. If you guys want to see any videos, want to request any videos for me to do, go ahead and leave that in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching again. Have a good one. Bye-bye.